What's up everyone? In this video we're going to take a look at basic pen testing room on TryHackMe. So let's take a look at the tasks. So essentially we have only one task and a couple of questions, and we're supposed to learn how to perform brute forcing, hash cracking, service enumeration, and Linux enumeration. I'm going to start the machine and I'll be using VPN to connect to this machine. My host is running on Linux, on Kali Linux. So let's take a look at the questions. We don't have many, so you can mark these as completed. The first one, deploy the machine and connect to the network. And the second one, we have to find the exposed services by the machine. And if we take a look at the hint, we should use nmap to scan for open ports. Okay, so we're going to let the machine run for a while so that we can scan for possible services that are publicly available. And then we have to perform brute force attacks so that we can discover hidden directories on the web server. So looking at the hint, they suggest to use dir search or dir buster. We're going to use go buster in this one, and then we have to discover username and password, and based on that we're going to make our way to complete this room. So we're going to use nmap to scan the publicly available ports, and we want to know the services available and their version, and going to also use the default scripts and use scan the IP and don't translate the IP to the host name. So it's going to be 10.10.181.243, and I'm going to save these to a scan file. So we're going to let it run for a while, and so we're going to mark this as completed. And once we get the results for the ports, then we're going to run go buster. So I can start type here. So I'm going to just use this history, and the IP is going to be 181.243. So we have to wait for nmap scan to complete so that we can see what's the port where HTTP server is running. Okay, this scan is completed, so let's take a look at the information we have. So the server is running SSH. You can see the SSH key. This should be the public key, and HTTP running Apache 2418. Operating system seems to be Ubuntu, and we can reach the HTTP server on port 80. Okay, that's great. So this means that if I try open this, okay, it's undergoing maintenance. And one thing that's worth looking is to take a look at page source, and we don't even know what we might find. And see here's a message. Check our dev notes section if you need to know what to work on. It looks like it's a message to someone, and so this is completed, and we can see that we have HTTP, we have SSH, we have some shared folders. So we have some information that we can work on. And so we need to, what is the name of the hidden directory of the web server? So we can now search for this, as the web server is running on port 80. So we're going to remove this and start looking for hidden directories using GoBuster. It looks like we found already, so I'm just going to open these, and we see there are some files on this directory, so I'm going to copy these and paste here on hidden directory, and we found it. Okay, that's great. Now we have to search for brute forcing to find the username and password. Okay, so before that, let's just take a look at what we have here, and we have two files. I'm going to open them. So dev, we can see there is a message, and so the point that I want to highlight, because I've already done this, so there is this K at the end, and J. Okay, and the other one is the Globens is JTXT, and JTXT referring to, so this is from K to J, and we can see that J password it's easy to be cracked. Okay, just to take note of this information. And so now we're going to move to the next one. How can we brute force the username and password? So we see that the server has some shares enabled, and we're going to search for information on this share by using another tool, and that's enum for Linux. And we want to search all the information we can on this server, and the IP should be 10.10.181.2.43. And just going to save these to a file as well. So I'm going to call enum for linux.txt as well, and we're going to let it run. The scan is completed, and we can see that it found two users, Hey and Jan. And if we look at the hint, it looks like these are the usernames that we would need. So let's type Jan, and the other username should be here. What is the name of the other user you found? Lowercase, so that should be Hey. Okay, so these two are completed. Now it asks what is the password for this user Jan. And if we take a look at those messages we found earlier, we know that J password can be easily cracked. So we're going to use Hydra to crack Jane password. So I'm going to use Hydra, and I'm just going to autocomplete these, and I'm going to change the user to Jan, and I'm going to use the dictionary RockU, and I'm going to change the IP to 181.2.43, and I'm just going to let it run until it cracks the user password. We see that Hydra was able to crack the password for Jan. I'm just going to copy these, and I'm going to save here, so not. And so now we're going to log in using Jan credentials 10.10.181.2.43, and the password is Armando, and we are on the server. So actually, let's see what can we see here. So there is a hidden file, but we don't have permission to read it. So let's see, we don't have permission because root is the owner. So moving on, this is completed. Now, what is the password? And the password is Armando. What service do you use to access the server? Well, this is SSH. And enumerate the machine to find any vectors for previous escalation. If we look at the hint, is suggesting to use a like lane enum. Well, to do this process, we would have to find out which directory we have permission to write. For me, it's way more important to find for something that I find interesting instead of just using a tool. So by taking a look at the at home directory, and if we run LA, we see that we have Jen, what is it? We see Jen and K home folder. So what I want to do is to read the content of both directories. So this is for Jen and this is for K. And what we can see here is that we have SSH folder. This is normally where the SSH keys are stored. And we have this pass.bak also. Those are the files and folders that got my attention. So if we take a look at K and pass.bak, so it's denied because only K is able to read it. So if we take a look at, let's see, SSH, and we can't open that. So let's see, should be able to get to K and SSH. And let's see hidden folders, and we can see the private key for K. So let's try to read these authorized keys, and we can read this, and we can read the private key as well. So what we're going to do is to copy this private key and try to log in as K on this server. So I'm just going to copy all of these starting here. Oh, that's bad. Let me copy all of these. I'll copy and I'll save as a key. Okay, so going to be, let me just see the extension, and that doesn't have any extension. Okay, that's awesome. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'll try to SSH, and I'll type -I, hold the K key, and the user K at the server IP, and that's 181.243. So it's asking for a password to use this key, and we don't have that password. So what we can do is to crack this password using John the Ripper. So first we're going to transform this private key into a hash file, so that we can then crack the hash file. So please, let's see, it's SSH to John, and just going to call and key, and just going to say SSH or K SSH.txt. And now I'm going to call John I'm just going to replace here a SSH. That's the hash file we just created, and we're going to try to crack. And it looks like it's already done. So we're going to run John again, and we're going to type the file that was cracked, and we're going to type show, and that's the password that we have to use. So I'm just going to copy this and just going to save. We're using notes, so the notes. Going to copy here, okay, password. Okay, so I'm going to save this and try to SSH again using K key. And we saw that the password is beeswax. Oh, it failed. It is required as for private keys. So we have to first we have to change the permissions for this file. So chain mode 600 and K key, and let's do it again. Okay, and we in. Okay, so what can we do with this information? If you take a look at hints, so we already done. We're using SSH to log in, and we have to find the final password. If you take a look, use John the Ripper to brute force the passphrase. So this is done already. So let's take a look at what we have here, and let's try to read pass.bak at sbak, and we're going to copy these because it looks like this is the last flag. I'm going to paste and submit. It looks like you have one to complete. Oh, this one, yes. And that's it, guys. Basic pen testing. We were able to brute force the password directory, and pretty basic lab, but very interesting one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one.